All right, guys, I'm going to try to wrap up all the civil liberties stuff today. I'm going to try to move through this pretty quickly. My last video was a little long, so here we go. Another one of the civil liberties guaranteed in the First Amendment is the freedom of the press. The freedom of the press is really important because it's important that we get factual information about what the government is doing, what politicians are doing, what companies are doing, and so forth, and that we can make informed decisions about our democracy itself. The media is oftentimes blasted by politicians, but it is essential to having a productive and efficient democracy. Okay, so some restrictions here. The government basically cannot prevent the free press. It can't pass a law requiring newspapers to publish certain information against their will. You can't punish reporters except in rare circumstances. You can't impose undue taxes against newspapers, media outlets, so forth. In most cases, you can't even compel journalists to reveal their sources. And you cannot prohibit the press from attending judicial proceedings and informing the public of the conduct of a courtroom and what is going on in a court. Now, obviously, there's closed sessions of Congress, top secret meetings, stuff like that. That's all protected by by national security, or on a local level, it's confidentiality, personnel matters, and so forth are shielded from public. But most government decisions, most government debate and discussion and so forth has to be done open in the public, and that's what we see with the press. So freedom of the press, they can report what they want. Okay, freedom of assembly. Freedom of assembly, you have the right to peacefully assemble. A landmark case in this, or an example, is the Illinois Nazis. The Illinois Nazis wanted to march in Skokie, Illinois. Skokie, Illinois just happened to be the largest per capita collection of Holocaust survivors. This was in, I believe, the 1970s. And, so they filled out the paperwork. They were going to have a rally in Skokie, Illinois. And the township said, nope, you can't have your rally here. Basically, we don't want your hate here. And the Illinois Nazis took it to the state Supreme Court, then they actually won. They have a right to peacefully assemble. Even people that, the vast majority of the public disagree with, you have a right to peacefully assemble. And we see, that applies to the Klan. We see in recent history the alt-right rallies and so forth that you could, and then there's the anti-fascist rallies and all kinds of rallies. We're seeing right now the rallies around the government shutdown and people going to their state capitals and asking their states to be open back up and the businesses to be open back up. Okay, these people have a right to peacefully assemble. In absence of any type of declaration of martial law, you have a right to peacefully assemble. Okay, petition the government. This one's kind of odd. You have a right to file suit, lobby the government, write the government. You can sign petitions. But unless it's some type of recall vote or something like that, petitions typically don't have that big of an effect. Every once in a while, some student has a petition at school and they think they're going to get school lunches changed or this or that. You could have all the signatures you want. It doesn't necessarily carry a lot of weight in most instances. It's more of a, hey, we have this opinion here. All right, so that's the first five rights in the First Amendment. Moving on, we're going to hit a couple others here. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. All right, so this is one that is endlessly debated. This is something, if we were in class, we'd be debating about. But here are some major landmark cases around the Second Amendment. In essence, it affirms that these cases, Presser versus Illinois, affirms that the Second Amendment applies to individuals. You do not have to be part of a militia. In U.S. versus Miller, the government can put some restrictions on guns, such as, in that case, a sawed-off shotgun. So some restrictions are appropriate. Now that's the gray area. The pro-gun people, pro-gun control people are always fighting in. Okay, what is an appropriate restriction, and so forth. We see D.C. versus Heller says that in Washington, D.C., they actually had a very, very strict gun law. And it was affirmed that the Second Amendment guarantees an individual the right to possess a firearm within their home. Okay, and that was a big landmark case, the Heller case. And we see in 2010 the Second Amendment as a federal law applies to all the states also. So Second Amendment is something that's always debated, and you through discussions we had in class and so forth, you're pretty familiar with that. So, this is where if we were in class, we'd be having a discussion, which of these are appropriate, which of these are not, and you can feel free to look deeper into that. Okay, the Fourth Amendment, we talked about this a couple times through the course. Basically, you have protection from illegal search and seizure. The government can't just barge into your house and search your private property. The interesting area with the Fourth Amendment now is, how does this apply to your email? How does this apply to your cell phone records? How does this apply to things like that? Where do we go from there? Okay, Fifth Amendment. Fifth Amendment protects you it's your right to remain silent, but also it is your protection from double jeopardy. Once you are tried for a crime, you cannot be tried for the same crime in most instances. Now, so that doesn't mean like if you get offered murder one time, you can commit a different murder. You got offered the first murder. If there's a different murder, you can still be put on trial there. The 14th Amendment applies all civil liberties to all citizens, and this was post-Civil War. It made sure that everyone was considered a citizen and everyone had their civil liberties. All right, so let's wrap that up there, and we'll go. Next, we'll be hopping into economics.